Hello everyone. This video today is about Ielts. And what is Ielts? It's the International English Language Testing System. Now, those that are preparing for Ielts are probably aware that there is two variations of this test. The first one is the general test, which is particularly for people that are looking to immigrate, live in another English-speaking country, or to go there for work also. The other IELTS test is for academics. And in this video, I'm going to be concentrating on the academic aspect of IELTS. And this varies in a couple of ways from the general test, specifically in the reading and the writing aspects, which are important to understand. So if you're going to be taking this IELTS test, the academic one, then this video, it will be of interest to you. This is telling you what to expect from the IELTS academic test. So what is Ielts? Ielts is the International English Language Testing System. And this testing system actually checks your ability at all four disciplines of the English language. The two the receptive skills, which are listening and reading, where you're taking information in, and the two productive skills where you are producing the information and putting it out, which are writing and speaking. Now then, the listening section lasts 40 minutes, where the reading section lasts 60 minutes, as does the writing section, which lasts 60 minutes also. The speaking section lasts only somewhere between 11 and 15 minutes, so it's not a very long test. And the other aspect about the speaking test is it may not even happen on the same day as the other three disciplines are tested. It could happen any time up to a week before, it may happen on the day, or it can happen any time up to a week after. So there's quite a large scope of variation that might happen between your speaking test and the other three disciplines of the test. So let us now go on and have a look at what each section requires that you do in this. So we're going to look at the listening section first, the 40-minute section. There's 4 parts to it, and before you start, you'll be given a booklet with 40 questions in it. And you fill in the answers in the booklet as you're listening to the 4 sections. Now the 4 sections themselves, part 1 through part 2, part 3, part 4, they get progressively more difficult as you're going through each section, through each part, and you get to the last part, which is probably quite using some complex vocabulary, etc. And is that considerably more difficult than the first part of the test. So at the end of the test, you're given an additional 10 minutes to transfer the answers that you put in this booklet that you were given at the beginning, and transfer those answers onto an answer sheet before you finish that test. So there's an extra 10 minutes there to do that. So now let's move on to the next section, which is the reading section. So in the reading section, in the reading part of the test, there's only 3 sections. But once again, from section 1 through section 2 to section 3, each section gets progressively more difficult. Now, answering here is you have to write the answers as you are reading. So there is no extra time allowed at the end of it. There's no transferring of answers, etc. You actually answer while you're reading the various sections of the test itself. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll now move on to the productive skills, which are then the part of the test that most students start to worry a bit more about. So we'll talk about the writing section next. In the writing section, it's split into two tasks. Task 1, you're given 20 minutes to write in excess of 150 words, note in excess of, on one of the following aspects, and you've got to summarise the information that that's displayed in what you're given to answer. Now, what you might be given is you might be given a chart, which looks something like this, and you summarise the information on that chart and make comments about that information and comparisons, etc. You do not provide opinions in this part of in this particular task at any time. You're summarising the information that is displayed. It could be a graph. A graph like this is a combination of a graph and a bar chart, which is actually quite common in the testing these days. So it's giving you a lot of relevant information, and once again you've got to summarise it and move on. The third aspect you might be given is a diagram that gives you information on a process. So it's once again summarising the information on that diagram and what the process is displaying on the diagram. And finally, you might get a pie chart, and this is another very common one to get. It might be a pie chart with a bar graph, or it might a bar chart, sorry, or it might be a pie chart with a graph. All very common aspects, and it's once again it's extracting the information and summarising it on your report on what you're saying. So that is actually the first part of the writing part of the test. The second part is writing an essay, which you've got 40 minutes to write in excess of 250 words. Now please note, in both occasions, task 1 and task 2, I've said in excess of. Do not write less, because you can be quite seriously impaired score-wise if you don't write enough words. So you have to exceed these values. So now we're moving on to the final part of the productive skills, and the last part of the test, which, as I've said, may happen up to a week before or up to a week after, or it can even happen on the same day. And this is the speaking test itself. Now the speaking test lasts 11 to 15 minutes depending on the questions, etc. Part 1 are general questions about you. Now this should be an easy part of the test for you, because there's nothing complex. You don't have to think too much. You just have to tell about you. It might be about why you chose to study a particular subject, why you do the work that you do, where you live, what's your accommodation like, what city you live in, what's special about your city, items like that, items that you will 100% know and should have no problem discussing it at all. Part 2 is a bit more difficult in that you'll be given a cue card, and on that cue card you're given a subject, and the subject you'll also be given some bullet points which are an aid to help you answer this. Once you've got this cue card, you've got a minute to study it and make notes. You're given a sheet of paper and a pencil, and you can plan your answer. And I will be going into this in future videos when I'm telling you the best way to answer these and get the grades that you want. You get a minute to plan your answer, and then you're expected to speak between 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. Better to aim for the 2 minutes, and even if you go over the 2 minutes, the examiner will stop you then. You'll have that won't be detrimental to your score. But if you speak for less than 1.5 minutes, then it will be detrimental to your score. And this is an area where a lot of students are let down. Part 3 is another area that worries a lot of students, because this is much more general type questions that you're expected to know. If you don't know, then you just say you don't know much about that particular subject. But this part of the test, part 3, often develops into a dialogue between you and the examiner, and it's a time where you can really display how good you are with the more complex vocabulary, if you are, and it's a time to shine in this test. So that is the Ielts academic test. I will be following this up with other videos on how to get the band levels that you want for your future dreams and goals. Watch out for these videos, and if you're needing assistance at all, then you can find me on iTalki, and I'll gladly assist you, as I've helped with hundreds of other students get their goals and ambitions. My contact is below in the description, so thank you for watching. Please, if you've got any comments, if you've got any suggestions how I can improve this information I'm giving you now, please put it in the comments below, and I would appreciate it also if you would subscribe and like and ring the bell. As always, it helps us produce more useful information for people out there. Thank you again. Take care.